What up, YouTube? This is Steven, and I want to talk for a moment about reparations, and specifically reparations for American slavery involving black people. Okay, so it's pretty much common knowledge that slavery was an extremely terrible event that happened in American history. And, you know, no sane person would say any different, unless the person was like extremely ignorant or extremely racist or both. Usually one can kind of come with the other. Um, but I noticed that whenever black people bring up reparations for slavery and wanting them, a lot of people, particularly white people, but not just white people um, only, but again, a lot of the times white people, like they want to shame black people for wanting reparations for slavery, and I'm like, why? Um, we all know that slavery was something that really set the tone for the black experience in the United States of America. And that tone was not a positive tone as well. African slaves did work for free for centuries without any pay. Um, they got, free room and board, but they kind of had to. It wasn't really like, it wasn't like, oh, these slave owners are just so nice to give these guys room and board. It's like, well, you have to. You can't really. They have to be sustained somehow. you know so dismiss me with that. I don't want to hear about that. um and also, a lot of people say like, oh, you black people have like, oh, affirmative action or stuff like that. And I'm like, affirmative action doesn't just apply to black people though. It applies to a lot of different people. That wasn't it. I think initially it was meant for black people, but when it actually got passed, it wound up being for including other groups of people as well. And from what I hear, um, white women actually benefit the most from affirmative action, not black people. Um, then another excuse some people try to use is like, oh, you know, you live in America and that should be enough. Pretty much like, oh, you live in a first world country and that should be enough for you. Like, no, that's not enough, because people work for centuries for free, and they weren't paid for that work. They want to be paid. Obviously, everyone involved in the situation has passed on. But we know that the situation took place. We know that people still suffer from the situation that took place, slavery. So why not just pay reparations? And also another excuse that I see is like, oh, um, you people always want charity or want handouts or something. Something along the lines of that. Like, oh, you want people to just give you things. You don't want to work for anything. I'm like, black people have been working in this country since they got here. People have not been giving black people. Let's put this directly. White people have not been giving black people anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're acting like white people have given black people so much. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I see that theme coming around, or circling around, where it's like, oh, basically people just think that black people are supposed to just accept anything. And I'm like, no, black people do not need to be accepting anything. Uh, Actually, oftentimes black people do seem to accept just about anything at times, but no, that's not what black people need to be doing. you know Black people have accepted more than enough Black people have done more than enough of their share as well in regards to contributing to this country. Um, Black people help build the country, help defend the country, help make the country prosper as well. You know. But back to the whole charity thing. It's not charity when you owe somebody something. That's like me saying, like me, like you, let's say that you lend me money, or either scratch that. Let's say that I perform a service for you. Like say I, you know, come to your house and fix your computer, and well, scratch that too. Okay, you come to my house and you fix my computer, and I don't pay you. You're like, hey, where's my payment at? I came and fixed your computer. And I'm like, well, you people seem to always want handouts, Can't you people ever work for what you want? Like, wouldn't that just grind your gears to hear somebody say that when you're like, I just worked, where's my payment? You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much the situation that Black people are in the United States. We're like, hey, we put in our work for this country, but we have not received much of the benefits of that. We have received the bare minimum of the benefits of that. Just living in the country, you can receive benefits from that, but Black people have not received specific benefits of their work. Anyone can receive the benefits of living in the United States as long as you live in the United States. However, Black people have not just lived in the United States. Black people have worked in the United States as slaves for a very long time. As well, if we go further along, Black people had to deal with Jim Crow, which kind of, well, it didn't kind of, but it limited their rights. Mm-hmm. And even after slavery, Black women had to deal with like the threat of sexual violence by actually by white men. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. But yeah, had to deal with, they probably, to be honest, probably Black women probably did have to deal with both, but white men were definitely the perpetrators of that way more than Black men. I mean, I know that, there is intraracial violence and sexual violence and things like that, of course. But in this particular video, that's not the theme that I'm trying to talk about right now. But yeah, Black women had to deal with the threat of sexual violence and also deal with sexual violence as well at the hands of white men. As well, lynchings, like while Black women were being raped after slavery. And this is after slavery, by the way. This is still going on. So while Black women were being raped without having any sort of legal recourse, any way to get any type of justice, Black men were being lynched for just like looking at a white woman, just probably even walking the same path as a white woman, and like all these events took place, and there has been no payment. A lot of crimes have been committed against Black people, and a lot of the perpetrators have been able to just walk without receiving any sort of punishment, jail time, not even a fine. At least if you kill an animal, you get a fine. But when you kill Black people, you don't even get a fine a lot of the times. That's sad. That's terrible. That is extreme dehumanization. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, where I'm getting at is like there is a ton of documentation that speaks to the struggle of Black people in the United States and what they've had to go through at the hands of white people. Let's be specific. At the hands of white people, at the hands of white supremacists, and Black people were slaves for centuries and performed many a task for white people and were not paid for them. So the United States government needs to pay its bill and pay and pay black people reparations for their centuries of servitude to the United States. So I don't really want to hear about, oh, you are asking for charity. No, that's not charity. When you owe a bill, or when you owe a payment, that is not charity. That is not charity. Look up the meaning of the word charity. That will not be in the meaning of the word charity. It's called paying your bill, paying your dues, paying on your account. That's not charity. And also, black people do not have to be thankful for being able to live in the United States when they helped build the United States. Let's get that straight. They were here since the inception, well, really even before the inception and the creation of the United States. So no. Black people didn't come over during the immigrant wave of like the 1900s. A lot of white people actually came over during that whole immigrant wave that took place in the early 1900s, coming from Eastern Europe and other European countries as well. But that wasn't black people. So especially if you don't even have a long legacy in the United States, you really don't need to speak on this as a white person or as any other type of person, any other race or person as well. And by chance, if you are not white, you probably, and if you're not on the side of black people, then you probably really just need to stay out of this argument. To keep it real, you just need, just stay silent. Just stay out of this argument. It's just between black people and white people, specifically really just black people in the U.S. government. But, same difference. So pretty much to sum up this video, I know I was kind of like all over the place at times in this video, but to sum up this video, black people deserve reparations as a group of people in the United States for what they experience, as far as the having to forcefully perform labor in the United States under slavery, as well as, the whole Jim Crow era, as well as the lynchings and rapings of black people. So black people are owed reparations. As well, black people could really use those reparations. They really need those reparations as well. That would really probably help a lot of situations as far as like poverty is concerned. But I know that if reparations for black people was to happen, a lot of white people would be up in arms. They would have a fit because it would be specifically for black people. And whenever there is something specifically for black people that white people don't have access to, a lot of times white people sort of just, they can't take it mentally for some reason. They can't handle it. I'm not sure why that is, but a lot of times, a lot of white people can't really handle that, Like affirmative action, even though it's not specifically for black people, a lot of white people believe it's for black people, and they go crazy. They're like, that's not fair. You have quotas set up for you. And I'm like, black people get this much. Like this much. White people get this much. Like all out to here. And you're concerned about this little portion that black people get all to themselves. Like, really? Like, don't hurt them too much now. Don't hurt them. Like, don't hurt white people too much, And by chance, if you are white and you're watching this video, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. If I'm not really speaking about you and you don't fall into this category or stereotype, then it's not about you. It's not really aimed towards you. So if it don't apply, let it fly. But I think I said pretty much all I have to say for the time being. So thanks a lot for watching, you guys. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. Your feedback and support are extremely appreciated and extremely valued. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.